The horse. This is the story of a peasant who had 3 sons. 2 of the sons were hard workers and enjoyed farming. But the youngest son was a dreamer who loved to sit and watch the animals in the fields, the birds in the air, and all the wonders of nature. Although he never did his fair share of the work on the farm, no one really grumbled because he was such a good-natured lad. But one day his elder brother dubbed him the Idler, and the name stuck to him for years. Came the day when the father told his sons it was time to plant the rice fields. The 2 elder brothers set about the task with their usual energy, but the Idler seemed to spend most of the time watching the antics of a family of squirrels in a nearby tree. By sundown the work was finished, and the 3 brothers tramped off home tired but happy. As the sons were having breakfast the following morning, the father burst into the room, grumbling that some wild animals had trampled on the seedlings in one of the fields, and precious hours would have to be spent planting fresh seedlings. The 2 elder brothers set about the work in their usual good spirits, and soon repaired the damage. But that night again, some mysterious animal trampled many of the seedlings into the ground. The father pointed out that they could not go on planting seedlings every day, so the brothers must take it in turns to watch the fields by night and catch the animals that were doing all the damage. On the first night, the eldest brother agreed to go and keep watch for this marauding animal, and although he tried hard to keep awake, he dropped off to sleep during the night. When he awoke, it was dawn, and to his horror, he saw that in one of the rice fields, the unwelcome visitor had again trampled the seedlings into the ground. The following night, the Idler volunteered to be the night watchman. When he arrived at the rice fields, the moon had already risen, and the fields were bathed in a silvery light. Making himself comfortable under a tree, the Idler thought it would be nice to sleep under the stars. But somehow he just couldn't make himself comfortable, so he contented himself with seeing how many stars he could count in the heavens. In the early hours of the morning, he was startled to see a large white horse solemnly plodding up and down one of the rice fields. Jumping to his feet, the Idler ran after the horse, shouting, "You villain! Wait till I catch you." But the horse had no intention of waiting, and just as the Idler got near, it rose in the air, just like a bird. The Idler gave a great leap and managed to get a firm grip on the horse's tail. This didn't seem to disturb the horse, which rose higher and higher and flew over hills and forests till they came to a great valley, far more beautiful than anything the Idler had ever seen. The horse landed beside a stream, and turning its head to look at the Idler, said, "Let go of my tail, and I promise not to trample your rice fields again." "I'll not let go till you make good all the damage you have done," retorted the Idler hotly. The horse nodded its head. "A month from now I will bring you one of my foals. Will that please you?" "It's a bargain," replied the Idler, who always wanted to own a horse. "But first of all, you must take me home." "Right," said the horse. "Jump on my back." With the Idler on its back, the horse flew back across the country and landed the Idler right at the doorstep of his home. The Idler never breathed a word to his father or his brothers about the magic horse, but from that day, he was out early in the morning cutting timber in the forest, which he used for building a stable, much to the puzzlement of his family. True to its word, at the end of a month, the magic horse appeared, with a younger horse. The Idler was certainly excited, for the gift horse was a noble beast, golden in color, with 2 peculiar humps on its back, which formed a natural saddle. When the father and the brothers saw the Idler's wonderful horse, their eyes nearly popped out with astonishment. "That horse is worth a fortune," exclaimed the eldest brother. "If we sell it to the king, he will give us sufficient gold to keep us in comfort." "Let us sell the horse to the king," said the Idler. "Then we shall never have to work hard in future." When the king was shown the horse, he too went into raptures of delight and offered to pay any price for the animal. But the keeper of the king's horses looked dubiously at the horse. "Your Majesty," he said, "I know nothing about looking after such a horse. Let this fellow," pointing to the Idler, "stay and be responsible for the horse." The Idler, who was greatly attached to the horse, readily agreed, and so his brothers returned home happy and contented with the money given to them by the king. The idler soon discovered that the king was a stubborn, ill-tempered tyrant who enjoyed having his poor servants flogged or beheaded for the most trivial offenses. And so, the idler took care to avoid the king as much as possible. But one morning, the king sent for him, and the idler wondered what could be amiss. The king appeared to be in one of his usual bad moods. "Take your horse," he commanded the idler, "and bring the Princess of Sagar here, so that I can marry her." "But I don't even know where Sagar is," said the idler blandly. The king frowned at him. "You will obey my command, or I will have your head lopped off." Poor idler scurried out of the palace, and hurrying to the stables, told his horse of the king's command. The horse shook its head and said, "Don't worry, I will take you to Sagar. But first, the king must give you some costly gifts to entice the princess here." As soon as the idler managed to get a casket of jewels from the grumbling king, he mounted his horse and was soon flying high above the countryside to this unknown kingdom of Sagar. After traveling for nearly 2 days, the horse alighted beside a small wooded hill. "Put the casket on the ground and wait nearby," said the horse, "and I will fetch the princess." Soon afterwards, the horse returned with the princess on its back, and as soon as she saw the casket of jewels, she jumped off the horse and picked up the casket. The idler decided not to waste any time on explanations, so he gathered the princess in his arms and mounted his horse. But on the journey back, he told the princess the whole story. When they arrived at the king's palace, the king, overjoyed to see that the princess was lovelier than rumors had described, asked her to marry him. The princess looked at him with doubtful distrust. "I will marry you, on condition that the youth who brought me here bathes in boiling milk at daybreak tomorrow." The king, who would have willingly boiled his whole court in oil in order to marry the princess, said it would be a pleasure. The idler was flabbergasted at the princess's demand, but his horse nudged him in the back and whispered, "Do not worry, everything will be all right." In the courtyard next morning, there was a huge cauldron filled with milk, with a blazing fire beneath. Standing beside the cauldron was Idler's horse, blowing into the cauldron to keep the milk from getting too hot. The idler walked up to the cauldron, and dipping his finger into the milk cried, "It's not hot enough! Put some more faggots on the fire." The men standing around rushed to obey, and the idler, with a grin, clambered into the cauldron, and as the milk was only warm, he enjoyed his bath. Afterwards, the king demanded the princess to name the wedding day. "Oh no," said the princess coolly. "Before we can marry, you must also bathe in boiling milk, just as the youth did." "What, me?" shouted the king, almost speechless with horror. The princess sighed. "Surely you are not afraid?" The stubborn king, determined to marry the princess, had to agree, and in a wretched voice, ordered that the cauldron of milk be ready in the morning. At dawn next morning, the cauldron was boiling away, and there was no horse blowing to keep the milk cool. The king, with hesitant footsteps, approached the cauldron and dipped his finger into the milk, and with a yell that could be heard for miles, jumped a foot in the air. "Surely, your majesty," said the princess coldly, "you are not frightened to do what the youth did?" Maddened by the princess's taunt, the king jumped into the cauldron, and that was the boiling end of the king. Later, the princess married the idler, and he was quite happy to be known as Prince Idler.